I think another truth is that you ride a bike, and I think the lie is that you play four instruments.
Yes, I can't ride a bike. That was one of the truths. So Jamila got it right. All right. So Jamila, your turn.
All right, so two truths and a lie. All right, two truths and a lie. Two truths and a lie. I'm thinking. My favorite color is red. I live in St. Mary. I Hold on, it's two truths and a lie. So my favorite
Yeah,
color is red. I live in St. Mary. I am an only child.
you're an only child. That's a lie. Did
Uh-uh.
I get that right? Oh,
No,
Jano.
the lies that I live in St. Mary. I live in St. Catherine.
Really?
Yes.
Why did I think you lived in Mary? All right, let me pick on somebody.
Alright.
Uh, Anika Dunn, are you here? Anika? Is she speaking in the chat? I think she might be.
Yes, she's speaking in the chat. She said here.
Okay. Would you like to tell us two truths and a lie? Okay. Fire them off. So I'll invite everybody to pay attention to the chat. And if you want to answer, you can open your mic when that time comes. Hmm. I'm going to go with your favorite color is blue.
I think the lie is that you're a nursing student.
I mean, psych minors can come here too. So I wasn't really thinking it's far fetched. Which one is it? Wow. Wow. You know, I was looking at that and I was like, what are the chances? All right.
Yeah,
Thank you, Anika.
I thought that there was a fair chance of her being bilingual.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Can we have Denisha Brown? Denisha? You can type in the chat if you don't feel like speaking. It's fine. Okay, no Denisha. I don't see any notation. Josh, are you here? Josh.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hi, Josh. We're playing two
Hello.
truths and a dare. Ratted a lie, sorry. So would you like to tell us two truths about yourself and a lie?
Two truths about myself and a lie.
Yeah.
Okay. So my favorite color is red. I have a puppy at my house and I like to play the guitar.
Hmm. Puppy. Puppies are usually loud, and I don't hear the loud puppy.
I think the lie is the guitar. I don't think you play guitar.
All right, which one is it, Josh?
You are absolutely correct. I do not play the guitar and I have a puppy at home. He is very loud, but he's quiet at the moment. My favorite color is red.
So Jamila been
Okay.
winning. All right, I see it. I see how it is. And finally, Nastasia Walker. Are you here, Nastasia? Okay, I think she's in the chat. Okay, your two truths and a lie. Remember, anybody can answer these, it's not just me and Jamila. You can all guess if you like. Okay, so
All
she
right,
has a cat at
Nastasia.
home. Her favorite color is blue, and or she has a younger sister.
I think the lie is that you have a cat at home. You don't sound like a cat person.
What gave that away?
I don't know. It's just a guess.
Wow. Even over anonymity, you are a really good judge of character. All right, so thank you guys for participating. And I will turn over to Kajamba Fitzhenley, our secretary.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, sending apologies from Aldi for President. She's very sorry that she can't be here today, but unfortunately, connectivity issues. So hopefully, we'll see her if she's able to pop in at the end. That would be good, but we'll likely have to see her next week. So apologies for that. And it looks like our guest isn't here as yet. So before we move on with the agenda, I'm gonna ask you guys to continue the icebreakers for just a little bit more, like 5 minutes, to give our guests some time to join.
Kajamba, I was actually thinking that you could just do the updates in the meantime until he comes.
All right, so he said he'll be here shortly, but sure, I can begin with the updates. Is Najani in the meeting? Okay, he's not. So the updates, mainly wanted to speak to you guys about some of the membership requirements for the club. A lot of it seems to be undecided because as we go through the course of the semester, we're figuring it out. So we kind of wanted some feedback for you guys to see how you could best accommodate things like meeting the payment requirements, and also attendance is a very important part of gaining membership. So we're going to try and work it out. Well, it looks like our guest is here. All right, it looks like our guest is here. So I'm just going to turn over to him shortly because some of the discussion that we want to have about membership is kind of based on the presentation. Is Javain, are you here?
Is he speaking? I'm not hearing anything.
He isn't speaking as yet. All right, in the meantime, let me just give you guys a very brief introduction of Javane and what he'll be speaking to us about today. So Javane is a third-year law student of the university. He's a resident of Chancellor Hall and he's very passionate about advocacy and volunteerism. Today, he'll be presenting to us in the capacity of the UISTAT Co-Director of Partnerships and Regional Collaboration. And he'll be telling us a little bit about a mental health campaign that we're collaborating with that institution on. So guys, please pay attention. A lot of it might be pertinent to what we have to discuss later in the meeting. And please give him a welcome, a warm welcome.
I say, hey, good afternoon, everybody. As mentioned before, I'm Javane Brown. So today I'm here to speak to you about a mental health campaign that the UISTAT Corps has decided to start under the leadership of James Speart, our president. The name of this campaign is My Silence is Deafening, where you'll be using the power of spoken word, the power of drama pieces, and the power of conversation by young people to raise awareness about mental health. Because I think during this pandemic, a lot of us have been struggling. A lot of us don't know where to turn. A lot of us have been depressed and anxious and immensely stressed because of all that has been happening, because of maybe staying home for the semester, maybe not an ideal environment. And maybe this will not be the situation for most psychology students because most of us would be training and most of you guys would be training, etc. But for the majority of university students, they are afraid to speak up. They are afraid to come forward. They don't know who to turn to. So the aim of this campaign is just to essentially tell individuals that it's okay to speak up. It's okay to have mental health issues. It's okay to not be sure of what the next direction is. It's okay to be depressed. And it's not something to be victimized over. It's something that you should be talking to people about. It's something that should be expressed. And, you know, the name, I think, sends a very clear message. My silence is deafening. Your silence is what caused the issue. So the silence can be something that's deafening. Silence is what causes more problems when you keep it within yourself and when you don't express it, when you don't communicate. So I'm really happy to have you guys on board. And, you know, I'm looking forward to a productive year with you guys with this campaign. So for this campaign, we're aiming to partner with quite a myriad of institutions and clubs and societies on campus. Thus far, we've contacted the UWI Writers Circle, the UWI Drama Society, well, Psychology Student Association would be a part of it as well, contacted UWI Health Center and the Ministry of Health and Wellness, as well as aiming to seek several corporate sponsors to become part of this campaign. Because what we're aiming to do is not just only restricted to the UWI space, but entirety of Jamaica, because the corona pandemic, as I said before, has, you know, not been ideal for most individuals. It has been a struggle. And with mental health, I think even when professionals are speaking about it or when a psychologist is speaking to students, it's not something that they generally relate to. So to have students being the ones who are engaging, to have students being the one who are speaking to other students, trying to level with them, trying to make sure they understand that they are not in this alone, I think that speaks volumes and that makes a phenomenal impact at the end of the day. So that's what we aim to achieve, to have people who can relate to the other young people, speaking to them. For example, there was an article recently published about a young lady who had suffered with suicidal thoughts and was very afraid and didn't know who to turn to. She reached out to her psychiatrist and channeled her thoughts and her energies into art. And at this point now, she thinks she's doing a lot better. She's able to engage her family. She's able to speak about her issues. And she's also willing to be a part of our campaign and share her story. And we hope to have other individuals with stories like this, those who have overcome mental illness, those who struggle with mental illness, and those who, you know, be free to reach out to any one of the UISTAT executive. The launch will be in very short order. By this Saturday, we'll be doing a promotion, sharing the promotional video as well as our logo and etc. So you guys can follow the social media pages as they're launched and can just be involved as much as you can. I'm really happy to have your guys' participation in particular because you would have a bit more knowledge about the subject matter than I would myself. Me being a law student, even though I'm passionate about it, I have no actual knowledge about the subject matter in terms of the diseases that may ail people and how to effectively treat them. So even though you're not at the stage of experts yet, your level of knowledge is really appreciated, and I'm really happy to have you guys on board. So thank you guys for having me at your meeting. It was a relatively short presentation because, well, but yeah, any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And just let me know in terms of suggestions, in terms of comments. Let me know your thoughts on the campaign, and I'll answer any questions that may arise.
All right, could you
It's
just say how we can reach out to you, please?
All right, so I'll leave my number here. You can reach out to me on my various social medias as well. I'll put the name for both of the phone, my number right there, and that's my social media tag for both Instagram and Twitter.
okay. Thank you. I had a statement because you said something that resonated in that basically we don't like in this context in this country. I think you said something along the lines of persons don't understand or like appreciate mental health or something like that, and
Yeah,
that there's nothing wrong with actually having a mental illness because it's not as if anybody goes out seeking to find it. And I was thinking that it's probably not just it's still the prejudice against and not the lack of understanding towards those who are suffering, but it's also that I think persons think if you accept that persons have mental illness, if you accept their behavior, if you accept that the struggle is real and is being shown in front of you, you somehow also accept what comes with it, which is the discomfort, which is whatever damage that may arise. And I don't know why I thought that, but it definitely seems to be the case in that persons can't separate that they understand something is happening to somebody else without excusing behaviors or damage or whatsoever. So maybe that's something we could think on. We could look at, maybe see someone's an expert's opinion on it. There are videos on YouTube if anyone's interested. So yeah, that's something that stuck out to me.
all right, thanks. And the suggestion is duly noted. Yeah, it's something we can really tackle because a lot of people aren't really accepting of mental illness in Jamaica. It's treated as a stigma, seen as something not to be talked about. And honesty should be
Definitely.
a topic of very conversation.
Good
Jermaine,
Okay.
point,
thank you again for
Marisha.
that presentation, and thank you for sort of coming on short notice and giving us a nice overview of what this campaign is about. Could you just, for persons who might have missed it or for who it was a little unclear for, can you remind us how exactly any random UWI student, any member of the Psychology Students Association could engage with this campaign and actually benefit from it? What would they have to do and what's the process that they'll be going through?
Okay, so once the social media pages are created. So in terms of students being a part of the campaign, we could send videos, we could send tips on terms of coping with mental illness. Certainly welcome from you guys, Psychology Students Association. What you've done yourself during this hard piece, you could also send the drama pieces or poem piece, or even just a short video advice or an anonymous tip or anything you'd like to do. Just having students participation is really crucial for us to continue, and really crucial for us to engage more students.
Okay, thank you.
So you
Are there
can
any questions? Guys, do you have any questions? All right. Well, it seems that that presentation was clear. So thanks again for coming. All right, Kajamba, it's over to you.
Okay, so as I was saying before, we wanted to update you, take this opportunity to update you guys a little bit on membership requirements for the Psychology Students Association. So as you all know, once you're a UE student, you have the ability to join this association and become a member. You're required to pay an induction fee, which is $1,200. Now, this can be paid in full. It can be paid in 2 installments of $600. It can be paid in 3 installments of $400. We haven't quite worked out a mode of payment for you to get these funds to the club. So we're actually open to suggestions about that today. So would you guys be willing to tell us how exactly it would be most convenient for you to wire those fees to us, if we can work out some way to drop it off on campus, or if it can somehow be wired? We're not quite sure yet, but we're open to suggestions from you guys. We actually need suggestions from you guys on how exactly it might be most convenient for you to fulfill these financial obligations, because we want to see you guys becoming members of the club. And the same goes for dues. We'd like if each member could contribute at least $50 per week. Again, open to suggestions on how exactly it would be most convenient for you guys to pay that. In terms of attendance, we need 75% attendance 75% attendance per meeting. I'm sorry, attendance to 75% of meetings per semester, and also contributions to at least 50% of the outreach activities that the club would undertake. Now, we have a few things that we're thinking about putting together for outreaches, and one of them might actually be this mental health campaign that Jovain just spoke to us about. So if anybody would be willing to participate in that, you heard the various methods that you can use to participate. For example, doing something, submitting a drama piece, submitting a video, submitting a tip. We want feedback from you guys on this as well, to see how many of you guys would actually be willing to participate in something like this, so that even in this virtual environment where there's a lot of challenges, we still want you guys to have a fair opportunity to fulfill the requirements and become members of the club. If Najani is here, can you point to anything if there's anything that I overlooked or I might have missed, you can point that out. But in the meantime, do any of you guys have any suggestions on the things I've mentioned so far?
Perhaps the participating in the initiative that Jovain spoke about. If we're going to be submitting tips, and by we I mean anyone in the club, I was assuming persons could put together a document and send them to us, and we can compile them and ship them off, so we don't exactly have an annoying influx going into their emails. So we put together everything, it's credited to whosoever has written it, and we send it off in one file. And you can participate, you can attach your ID number if you so wish, if you feel that that's necessary, just so that we don't clog the emails that they may be getting.
Right. And I think we could, just for the sake of maybe anonymity, I think we could possibly put together a survey again to collect this kind of information, but that would depend on how many people are actually willing to participate in it. From the persons here, can I hear from you guys, even if it's just to raise your hand or to leave a comment in the chat? Tell me how many of you guys would actually be willing to participate in this mental health campaign?
Dacia, that's the dues. So $1,200 comes together as club dues. Kajamba, you're muted.
Sorry, I was saying no, actually, I think the 1,200 is the official induction fee.
The induction fee.
Yes, and for the dues, we're just asking persons to consistently contribute
Oh wait, yes, it
at
changed
least
from last year.
$50 per week.
Okay, yeah. Cause I was like, I was remembering when I first joined the club, and that was what was said, and I was wondering why they put a cap on it. But okay. Dacia says, so the induction fee is needed to join the club.
Yes,
Uh,
it is.
yeah. As an active participant, you are still valued. But like to have your name down and put on your record and stuff like that, you need to be inducted.
Yes, to become an official inducted member.
Okay, so just scrolling through the chat, I noticed earlier there were questions that we missed. I noticed there's a Mrs. Granston who asked, "What is the aim of the club?"
Okay, that's it. So PSA is really like aimed towards providing a safe space for persons to air grievances about psychology courses, to get a further understanding on certain topics or courses that may not exactly be too clear. We're supposed to be also liaisons to the psych office and to lecturers on behalf of students. We've been doing that through the orientation process beforehand. We have a mentorship group that I feed students to different persons, whether in their third year or outside of UE, who can help them in certain courses. We're also supposed to be a safe space where persons can just wind down, like this session is to be today. Supposed to be light and offer persons like a new perspective on certain psychological careers, illnesses. There are certain ones that persons don't know about, and different resources that are available. That's why we have persons coming in and speaking to us every week. We also have different projects that are set up behind the scenes that should then be helping persons coming to terms with different problems or to gain a new light into what they want to pursue. So, in a nutshell, PSA is a big helping ball of people. No problem.
All
That
right.
was a very, very well
Also,
said, Marisha.
before that, Jamila, there was a suggestion by Jade Lee. I guess this was to Kajamba that she mentioned doing a wire transfer. The specifications or wire transfer to the treasurer sounds most convenient. Um, so Jamila, Marisha, or Kajamba, would any one of you would like to clarify on the wire transfer option?
All right, well, I'd rather Kajamba to take the question, but I know that the account for the club is not yet set up, and that is why we're just asking for suggestions today.
Yes, that is actually something we'd have to speak to the treasurer about, because as Jamila said, the account for the club isn't currently active because of reasons beyond our control. And if it's a case where we're collecting finances for official club activities like that, we usually want it to go for a more official channel. But if we would definitely look at that option
The
until we're able to sort
sending
out
of
the club's
small
official.
amounts would also be a problem, because remember that you are charged a fee for activity in your account. So sending $50 each time, being charged that $30 fee to send $50 doesn't really seem feasible to persons. I see that that was something akin to that was brought up in the chat.
So in response to that, would people, instead of paying $50 per week, would persons be more open to paying a bulk sum, for example, at the end of the semester?
That's open to everyone. So if you want to open your mic or whatnot, that would be great.
Speaking for myself, I'm fine with sending the bulk sum for any dues, fees, or costs needed. That's just my point.
Same. I think if I'm going to go through the trouble of doing a wire transfer and being charged for it in the process, I might as well give the bulk.
How many persons here are currently interested in actually pursuing the path to becoming a member of the club between this semester and the next one? You're not a member as yet, but you actually do want to become an official inducted member. I would just want to get an idea of how many people would like to do that, or how many people are just okay attending meetings as they are.
Okay, just a side note, my phone is heating up, so I might have to leave the meeting and pause charging for it to cool and then rejoin.
Okay, no problem, Marisha.
All right, so reading through the messages in the chat, I'm seeing where we have I'm guessing Daisy said hi. So I'm guessing her hi is in response to saying she wants to be an officially inducted member. There's Nastasia Walker, Anthony, Mrs. Ganston, Shanil Jarrett, Josh, Denisha, Selena, and Keisha Charles specifically. However, Keisha's situation is that this is her last semester and she wanted to, but she's not in the country, so she's not sure how she'll be able to do that. So we do have several members several attendees of our meeting today who would like to be officially inducted members of the association. So just to touch on joining, as Kajamba mentioned earlier, there are certain stipulations in order to join. Attendance to meetings is one of them. So which is why whenever we send out the register, ensure that you guys do sign the register to say that you're here. We do have a stipulation of $1,200 for an induction fee, and also the rest that Kajamba mentioned earlier. So in order to actually be an officially inducted member, in order to get inducted into the club, we have to go through those processes in order to join. Now, Keisha, your situation is a bit sticky. I'm not sure how we'll be able to go about doing that, especially seeing as this is your last semester. But for the rest of the guys who are here, whether this is your first year, second year, there should be there's adequate time to go through the process and also be inducted come next year. If you follow through with the stipulations mentioned earlier, which is the attendance of meetings, the payment of the induction fee, and also simply partaking in club events. So I'll leave Kajamba to further get into that. The register has been sent. It will also be posted on YouTube for those of you who are tuning in on YouTube. So look out for that.
Okay, so quite a few people expressed interest in actually becoming an inducted member, and I want to get an idea of how we could possibly accommodate all of you, especially for those with a special situation, because with this virtual environment, it's a little sticky and a lot of accommodations are going to have to be made. So I do want to see how we can work with all of you. So for those persons, would you be willing if I set up another survey? I know that we're tired of surveys, but if I do set up another survey, would you be willing to respond so that we can actually have your information in one place so that we can see how we can cater to each of you? And in the meantime, please do remember that attendance to meetings is very important. So while there are ways to be flexible in other areas, we're going to ask that you do try to come to meetings as consistently as possible. I see one yes from Jade Lee. Anyone else? What do you think about that suggestion? Okay, so it does look like a few people are in agreement. I'm going to put that together and try and send that to you guys by the latest next week so that we can actually start on this process, because we don't have a lot of time left, especially for persons who it might be a last semester. We do want to see if we can still accommodate making you an official member of the club. Okay, I think we can move on from this segment for now. In the meantime, I had some study tips. It's mid-semester period, as we all know. I think that's from October 19 to October 31st. So just in the spirit of preparing, I thought I could share some study tips with you guys. Most of it is going to be reminders. I'm sure you guys are doing this anyway, but I don't think it hurts to be reminded, and you might hear something that might assist you as you start studying for semesters that are in a few days. Let me just share my screen. And for anybody that actually has their own study tips and would like to share it, please, we'd love to hear. I'm sure all of us in here have different methods of learning and different ways of studying. So we'd really like if you could share so that we can hopefully help each other out in doing well. Are you guys seeing my screen? I can't see the chat right now.
Yes, Kajamba, your screen is showing.
Okay, so confirming your learning styles. How many of you guys actually know what your learning style is? Whether because, I mean, from experience and you like you think you've got a good judge of how best you learn, or you've actually taken a learning test? Open your mics if you're going to respond, please. Okay, how many of you guys know what I actually mean by learning styles? I'm sure most of us do.
Kajamba, someone in the chat said yes. And as for me, I have assumed what my learning style is. I'm not actually certain.
What is it for you? Like, what do you assume it is?
I usually rewrite all of my notes so that they're in one place and I can see everything holistically, and lots of bullet points, really.
Okay, so I think that would probably make you fall into the reading, writing, learning style category. There's also the visual category. There's the audio learner, and there's the kinesthetic or tactile learner. So basically the visual learner, which I fall into that category, I think a lot of people do. According to some of the sources I've seen for visual learners, some good study tips would be watching videos, obviously. If you have your notes written, it's very good to use highlighters and different colors so that highlighting different sections of your notes so that they pop out when you're reading it. It's not just the same mundane thing you're reading. So actually being colorful with your notes, that can help as well for visual learners. Audio learners, I think in this online setting, we might be flourishing most for people who are able to go back and listen to lecture recordings. You can also, obviously, YouTube is all our best friend, so watching YouTube videos as well. For tactile learners or kinesthetic learners, which I found to be the most interesting one, for those people, it's usually practicals that help them learn best. But for people taking the psychology course, we don't really have many practical elements like we would have in the sciences where people would do labs. But even with that, it can be helpful for you to just, even when you're studying or you're reading through your notes, it's helpful to just get up and walk around. And walk around, take breaks as regularly as possible, like get up and stretch so that you can reorient yourself and you won't get too distracted if you're just trying to sit down and go through your notes all at one time. Doing things like just playing with a rubber band right here can also help. Playing with a pen for people who are tactile learners, that can help you to stay focused when you're going through a lot of information. Reading and writing, like Jay mentioned, rewriting your notes, making very detailed notes can help those. The next tip would be make sure you're in and the sites I've put here, personalitymax.com, Learning Styles Online. Those are just sites you can go to actually find quizzes. There are a lot of quizzes online. In case you're curious about your learning style, you can actually go and have them help you confirm what it is. Just so that, you probably already have an idea of what it is, but as you're going into this new exam period, it doesn't help to confirm. You might learn something new that would help you improve your method of studying. Number 2, make sure that you are in the right frame of mind. So obviously, if you this can be a very stressful period, and if you're thinking about all the mid semesters that you have to be taking, you're going to get stressed and overwhelmed. So just choose a period where you know that or just set a period in your mind where you know that you're going to get to work, regardless of how much stress it might be. Or just if you guys have a free day without lectures or something, just a time where you think you'd be most relaxed, it would be good to shift your study timetable to accommodate studying during that time. And though sometimes you just have to trust that the motivation will come. What I mean by that is that you're not going to always feel like studying, you're not going to always feel like doing work. So it is good to have a routine where you know that even though you might not feel like it in your head right now, you know that this is the time you have set to actually start doing work, to actually start studying. And once you get into it, you find that as you go through it, more of the motivation is likely to come. Instead of saying, oh, I don't feel too motivated now, and you keep putting it off, you're likely to procrastinate more that way. But it's different for everybody, and obviously you know what works best for you. So number 3, make sure you're well rested. I don't think that needs much explanation. If you're tired, personally for me, if I'm tired and I read 5 sentences, that's it. I'm not going to remember anything. If you're distracted by a tired brain, you're not going to be able to focus on the information that you're studying. Have snacks. That just basically works as refreshers. Have snacks. That also coincides with the point of taking breaks. Make sure that you're not overwhelming yourself with too much information at one time. But if you know, like me, that once you take a break, you're like, I'm going to take a break to watch a YouTube video, and then suddenly 3 hours have passed and you haven't studied much. If you know that is likely to happen to you, make sure that you time your breaks. If you say you're going to have a 15-minute break, set your alarm and make sure it goes off when the 15 minutes are up, so that you know that it's time to get back to work and you're not as likely to get distracted. Remember to use flashcards. I hear this is good for visual learners as well, and maybe reading and writing learners. So writing the key points of your notes on flashcards can help you when you're reviewing. And I would have said this in, I think, the first meeting. Anki and Quizlet are some good apps that I know to be good for online flashcards. Join study groups. I see people making study groups in some of the WhatsApp class groups that I'm in. People do it via Zoom, they do it via WhatsApp groups as well. And I don't know if there's anyone here from the physiological psychology class with Dr. Alice Atkinson. She actually put us in groups and made us read the chapters and make up questions based on what we read. I don't know about other people, but that activity was actually really helpful for me in helping me learn and remember what might be coming on the exam. And when people in that group, in my WhatsApp group, shared their questions, it really was helpful. It was like getting a pre-exam. So joining study groups can be really helpful. And for auditory learners, it can help to join these groups and actually have discussions with people. Once you're just reading, it might not be the easiest to remember everything. So when you actually talk about it with someone else, it's easier for you to remember. Start early. That, I suppose, doesn't require much explanation. If you wait until one day before the exam, you're going to be cramming, and that might work for some people. But if you know that it's easy for you to get overwhelmed, start as early as you can. I think our mid-semester timetable sheet just came out, so you're able to know when your exams are. So start as early as possible so that you can go through it topic by topic and you don't have to read like 6 or 7 chapters in one night. And starting early also does leave time for you to verify things that you're uncertain about. So if you miss some lectures and there's a certain topic you're not too clear on, that gives you time to consult with either your lecturer or your fellow classmates to clarify for you something you might not understand. Okay, check your devices. I'm sure this is something everyone has been conscious of over the course of the semester, because internet is always going for some people, devices fail in the middle of classes, so just make sure you have a plan A, B, and C. If you don't have a device at home, if there's some way that you can visit someone who does have a device, just make sure that you're able to have a device that you know is reliable for your exams. And if something goes wrong, I think the procedure we were told is to take a screenshot that shows the date and time of the exam and what exactly the issue is. And last semester, the handle that they gave us to email would have been examsupport@uemona.edu.jm. I'm sure if there's any change to that, they would update us on it, but just to be conscious that there is someone that you can contact immediately if something goes wrong with the exam. Make sure that you have access to all of your leave, because of course that's where exams are going to be. And if you, for example, if you need a password change, you know your password is going to expire in a number of days, make sure that you remember to contact MIT from now. This is your reminder to do that. Start exams early, especially for exams that I don't know if for mid-semesters this is the process for anyone, but some exams give you a few days to complete it. Personally, for me, I find that if I start as early as possible, if there's a particular question on the exam that I find challenging, it does give me more time to think through how I might go about answering that. I know for an exam last semester, it really did help me that I had a lot of time and I started early. So if you know that that works for you, just remember to start as early as you can so that you have more time to think through the exam and not get overwhelmed. And obviously go in prepared. That doesn't need any explanation. That's basically what all the tips were culminating to. Go in as prepared as possible. Make sure that you covered all areas, make sure that you caught up on the lectures, make sure that you consulted people in the study group so you can go in as prepared as possible to get an awesome grade on the exam. So those were just my study tips. As I said, it's not going to be the same for everyone, and I'm sure all of you have different learning styles. All of you have different study tips. So if you are open to sharing, if there's anything that you saw here that you like or you don't like or that you agree with or disagree with, you can just share any study tips that you might have or any questions that you might have.
All right, thanks, Kajamba. I personally agree with studying somewhere where you're comfortable, and I think that that is really, really important, because if you are studying somewhere and you're not comfortable, the place is noisy, you are distracted, I don't think that you'll be able to digest the information. So I think that persons need to figure out at what time am I more productive? At what time am I going to remember more stuff? So some persons learn better in the evening, some learn better in the morning. So if you know that it works best for you to get up early and use your day to study, then do so. If for you it works better for you to do it in the night, do so. But most of us are in third year, second year, or even if you're in first year, you would have had to do an excellent job on your CXCs and CAPE exam to make it to the university. So whatever method that you have used over the years, like just continue using that method and just improve on it. And all the best in your mid-semester, everyone.
All right. To add to that as well. Oh, Kajamba, Dacia asked in the group if it's possible you could share your presentation. Sorry, she asked if you could share your presentation in the group as well. I'm not sure if you're willing to do that, but before just
Yeah, of course. I can just send it in the public group if that's what you're asking, or I can PM it to you. Either is fine.
yeah, sure. I think it's best to just send it in the PSA group. That works so that everyone who wanted a copy could have it. To add as well, for me, this is something that I found out with a certainty after having a couple sessions with OSSD. I'm not a conventional person when it comes to studying. So the usual having the book down, rereading notes or writing over notes and all that doesn't necessarily work for me. I learn the material, and through learning material, it just sticks with me like that. If I sit down to try and study, I'll just be wasting my time going crazy. So what works for me is going to different streams, going to class and rewatching the programs online if needs be, seen as school is online. So if we were going to physical school, I would go to not only my tutorial, but if I can make time to go to someone else's tutorial or to a different tutorial to hear the same material being repeated, that works for me as well. So seeing as class is online and we have access to various online recordings as well as access, well, I know that internet maybe and time constraints may be a problem, but if you're able to just go into a different stream or to a different tutorial to hear a different perspective or a different way the material is taught may just help. Someone in the chat also made mention to teaching someone else. So I guess what she's trying to say is that he or she, I'm guessing it's a she, Shani Ujait, she's saying that teaching someone else the topic or whatever, that is what helps her in terms of having the material stick. That's one of the process by which I learned that helped work for me, being in group discussions and teaching someone a topic or being learned a topic from somebody else, it works. So those are my 2 cents. If anybody else wants to share their ways as well, the floor is open. You can go ahead and do so.
All right. Well, guys, anyone else would like to share study tips, comment on anything else that Kajamba said? Anything at all?
I'd prefer, well, not prefer, rather, I'd suggest finding a YouTube video that is on the topic that you're trying to read up on or something like that. Because, you know, with keeping your interest in the video, it's supposed to be vibrant, it's supposed to be engaging. And not just the reiteration, but because of that presentation, you might remember your topics better. So I suggest that.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Marisha. Kajamba, is there anything else you'd like to add, or that's it?
No, the floor is really open to the rest of the club right now. If there's any questions that you guys have, and we'd like feedback from you guys. We'd like to hear what you're thinking of the presentations and of the meetings as the semester progresses. So if anyone has anything to share about what they think about how PSC has been doing so far, anything that you're not clear and that you'd like to ask, and anything that you might like to see from the club in the future, if you'd like to share that with us, we'd definitely be open to hearing from you.
Anyone? Yes, no, maybe so.
I guess no one is feeling up to
Like
give it.
call on people.
Right.
All right, guys. Well,
Just one note, I'm confirming from our president that participation in the mental health campaign that was mentioned today will actually count towards participation in outreach, which is a requirement for induction. So guys, we're asking if you are really interested in becoming a member, please think about ways that you could contribute to that campaign, and it would really help in the process of becoming a member.
all right. Well, since I'm thinking, hold on, I'm seeing 2 things. Let me see if there's anything in the chat. All right, so Miss Grandson is asking, is there any views to address procrastination? So that's a question open.
Okay, As a resident procrastinator myself, I
Secondly,
do it so. So what I usually do is I psych myself into doing the task. I look at all the stuff that I could be wasting time on doing after the fact. So I start to psych myself up saying, oh, but if you get this out of the way, you get to watch one more episode of this, or you get to go to your bed later because you don't have to factor in doing. I like to stay up, by the way. So that was my incentive. I don't have to then have to use the time to do the task and then go to my bed either frustrated or wondering if I did it right or whatsoever. And also because I'm really lazy, I have more incentive to get it out of the way earlier and do it right the first time so I don't have to go back to it. So my thing is to psych myself up for it, give myself that rush of adrenaline to say, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this right, and I'm going to get it off my hair. So that's my 2 cents.
I've also heard that addressing procrastination could be most effective when you find that you can establish a routine. So procrastination is easy now because it's what you're used to doing. You've made it a habit. So if you kind of transfer that habit to something else, something more that can be more that you can see being more productive, like for example, a routine where you set a study schedule and you know that you have set this time to study. So once you're able to your mind associates that time with doing work and getting things done that you know you have to do. So if you can get yourself into establishing a routine where you associate certain times with doing work, then it would be easier to start breaking out of that problem of procrastination. So routines I do hear help a lot, and especially in this period where we have exams and it is actually imperative to do some to get up and do work, because chances are if you don't prepare you're not going to do as well on your exams as you hope. So this would be a good time to establish a study schedule, establish a routine so that you can get into the habit of doing work on a routine basis.
All right, my 2 cents for that is that, well, for me, I know that I may procrastinate. So what I do is something similar to what Kajamba just suggested. So I'll tell myself that, all right, then come Monday, you're going to prepare for these 2 courses in this way. And then when you're finished, you get to watch that series or XYZ episodes of that series or something to that effect.
No problem. Like honestly, especially now where we're doing everything on our devices and our distractions are just a couple taps away, I understand the struggle. And really there is no room for bashing because at some point we all want a break. But to understand also that in taking a break, you can't go over and expect to still do well. You can't say for 5 minutes of reading, you're going to take an hour break. It needs to be proportional and just something to keep you light, not to actually drag you down into the loophole that is YouTube. So if you find that you may go off the rails and go on for an hour, 2 hours watching something or playing something or whatsoever, you could actually time your breaks and find something that's short-lived but still enjoyable.
All right, thanks for that again, Marisha. Let me see if there are any more questions. If not, that's it for today. So Jade said, I'm a chronic procrastinator, and I find that the best way to get out of it is to always think about your goals and what studying and getting good grades will accomplish. And that's another good suggestion. So if there are no more questions for today, I would like to thank everyone who came out to the meeting. Remember that if you would like to become a member, just send a message to Kajamba or any of the exec members and we'll guide you through that process. Guys, all the best in your mid-semester again, and have a great rest of the week.
Thank you. And same to you.